Howdy, it's Charlie again, and today we're going to talk about the source of morality. But before I do, I'd like to introduce you to Fatso. And we call him Fatso because he is so fat, and he's wearing his football jersey today. There's going to be a football game on. So let me put you up on your pedestal, and we'll talk about the source of morality. God is a moral being. And we can tell that simply because we have morals. If they didn't derive from nowhere, they must have derived from a moral entity. When we display love, we know that love exists. We know that there must be a standard of love. Disbelievers in a creator, they'll often argue against this premise simply by saying that non-believers do good things even when God isn't watching. They go out and they help old ladies cross the road or whatever is a good thing. You go to non-Christian nations or non-religious nations. France, for example, is kind of a secular nation nowadays, and there's people that do nice things for other people there. And so supposed atheists, I say supposed because we've already discussed it, there are no true atheists. Supposed atheists will say that these people are doing good things and God isn't watching, and therefore there is no God. That really presupposes a few things, and it also it shows their foolishness once again, simply because an atheist has no idea if God is watching or not. In order to know that, they'd need to be completely omniscient on the subject of God's knowledge and what God is doing at any given time. And so it's a foolish claim to even make that, and it just shows their own arrogance to say that, well, God isn't watching when people are doing good things that don't believe in God. Further, this atheist, when he says something like that, he fails to acknowledge that those same people also commit evil acts. And even if they didn't, which they do, but even if they didn't commit any evil acts, they'd need to know what evil was in order to claim that they were doing good acts. Now, I hope you understand that you can't know good without knowing evil. It's just not possible. And so in order for them to make these claims, they have to know what evil is. There's no way around it. It's a self-evident truth if you just simply think about it. Instead of disproving moral perfection, it proves it. That there is a moral creator and he is morally perfect. There's no way around that. Any time that someone makes the claim that there is imperfection, they acknowledge there must be a perfect standard by which the imperfection is known. Let me say that again, make sure you understand it. Any time that someone makes the claim that there is imperfection, they acknowledge there must be a perfect standard by which the imperfection is known. Now, we can look at a few basis for morals that people have raised over the years, and I want to put my little puppy down because it looks like he wants to go play with the other ones. He is a good boy. Man is the measure. That was Protagoras back in ancient Greece said that man is the measure. Now, if that was so, what one man did would have no bearing on another man, but it does. When somebody does something and it morally offends another person, it proves that man cannot be the measure. Plato, I'll read something that Plato said, actually, let me find it here. It says, Plato said that it was absurd to say that being, truth, and morality are up for grabs and can be or mean whatever an individual wishes. Plato argued that our understanding of these things must be anchored in some objective, independent, and absolute reality. Because of this, there must exist above our minds and beyond this world another of reality or being. Now, he was looking at, if you've ever studied Plato, you know about the forms, and I'm not going to get into all of that philosophic stuff, but he was saying that because we display morals, there must be something by which those morals are gauged. And this is a guy that lived, like I say, 2,000 years ago in an ancient society outside the covenant people of Israel, and he understood this. It's self-evident if you simply think about it that there is a moral standard by which we are acting and by which we are making moral judgments. It simply cannot be any other way. So please don't let people try to sideswipe you with philosophic words and arguments that degrade what is self-evident. Just simply because, as we said yesterday, people try to suppress the truth and the knowledge of God because they want to have their own moral imperfections exercised in themselves. If they're drunkards, they want to go out and drink. If they're sexually immoral, they want to go out and do perverted things. They will suppress the knowledge, and they'll also come up with all of these wise things that they say that will work around what is the self-evident truth. A second moral standard that people over the years have tried to use is society is the measure. Now, as with individuals, societies never agree one to another. And that, you can go back from the very first societies all the way to modern society. It is obvious that societies don't agree. One society will war against another. Societies come and go. They grow, they decline based on their own imperfect state of moral decisions. You just look at any of them. You don't need to trust me on this. Just go back and look at your history book, and that is what happens. As moral decisions go bad, societies go bad, they eventually decline, and they go away, and something else takes it over. Even if the world were to turn to a one-world government, which we can kind of see is happening in our own lifetime, even if that were to happen, society would still fail to be the ultimate moral standard, and that's simply because of the imperfect nature of the parts. All of the parts, including you, okay, and me. I'm not trying to accuse you of being morally imperfect, and I'm not. I'm absolutely morally imperfect, but the parts make up an imperfect whole. You can't have imperfect parts and come up with a perfect whole. And so society cannot be the measure. There are other moral ideas that have been presented over the years in order to deny the ultimate moral standard that Plato talked of. One is might is right. Morals are mores, which is kind of similar to society is the measure. Humanity is right. Well, obviously that's wrong. You don't even need to think about humanity being the measure, because we're just like a one-world government. We're individuals that make up a whole, and we're all imperfect. We're all putting on our pants in the same way, and we all get up and make bad decisions all day long every day. So it can't be humanity is the measure. Moderation is right. What brings personal satisfaction is right. Good for its own sake, etc. All of these are imperfect moral measures, I guess you would say. They're not perfect standards that we can live by. None of them. Instead, each solidifies the notion that there is an absolute moral authority. There's just no doubt about that. There must be an ultimate standard.